Good morning, everybody. Lovely to talk to you today. Excuse me. I wanted to tell you a little story that happened recently that reminded me of something that I've learned over time and that I really find helpful when I'm in difficult times, even like very, very difficult times. So I think I mentioned the other day, I had just such a wonderful chance over Thanksgiving. I just went for a few days to see my youngest, newest grandchild and see her christened, essentially. Anyway, so she is the youngest of three, and her older siblings are still young. As young children do, they don't always follow their instructions of their parents very well. They have minds of their own. So right now, just really quickly, so essentially the two oldest ones are in a phase where they're not great at going to bed. It takes a lot of time and effort to get them to quiet down and go to sleep. And so my son and daughter-in-law have split this responsibility up. So one of them keeps the baby while the other goes and settles the other kids and has to, I think, kind of lie down in the room with them and basically try to keep things quiet. If the older kids get too noisy and wild, then it disturbs the baby, of course, and likewise if the baby is crying or making a lot of noise, then it disturbs the older kids. So they have to really work on this, and it's a lot of work. It's not an easy thing. It might sound kind of trivial, but if you have to do this every single night, it starts to be very challenging and very wearing. So the night I was there, as they normally did, my daughter-in-law took the younger kids in and tried to keep them contained and calm so they could fall asleep. And my son took the newborn, the baby, and took her into their bedroom, which is what they have to go in the bedroom and shut the door so that any crying from the baby doesn't disturb the kids, and any monkey business from the kids doesn't disturb the baby. And it was, it's difficult. It's not easy to do this again night after night. It's just the kind of thing that may not appear to be super difficult, but it starts to wear on you after a while. So I was with my son, I was holding the baby, and I was sitting there in his room holding the baby, surrounded, like in a rocking chair, surrounded by, the paraphernalia of newborns, bottles and diapers and wipes and burp cloths and just all the stuff that comes with a newborn. And as I was holding her, I remembered back many years ago, like over 30 years ago, when I was a brand new, very young father, holding my firstborn, who was my son that I was with, trying to get him to sleep at night. Poor kid had terrible colic and he couldn't sleep. If he did fall asleep, he'd wake up and he didn't sleep very deeply. And so, since my wife often was feeding him, I tried to take the times when he wasn't needing to be fed, but just, needed to be held. So I spent, I don't know how many hours in a rocking chair in my bedroom, surrounded by the paraphernalia of a newborn baby. And now those memories are very sweet. But at the time it was really difficult. I was in school. I mean, it's just very, again, it doesn't sound that hard, but when you have to do this night after night and you're kind of having sleep deprivation and you just feel like your life will never be the same again and you wonder what's happened, and it's really hard. It does start to really mess with your mind. So now all of a sudden, those memories of that time with my son are very fond. They're treasured memories, cherished memories actually, holy memories, even sacred, as I remember holding him, singing Christmas carols softly in his ear and rocking him. I'm so proud of him and who he's become and what he and his wife have made, the life they built, the family they built together. So for me it was beautiful. It was a slowly full circle moment. Suddenly I'm now in his house watching him with a newborn and me holding that newborn. It was just a beautiful full circle moment. here's where I'm going with all this. Life often is really hard, and often we find ourselves in situations that may be just truly wrenching for us, and sometimes it's something that if you hear about it, someone else will be like, oh, that doesn't sound like a big deal. But to you, as you're going through it, it is a big deal. It's hard. It's wearing. It starts to grind at you, and you worry life will never be the same again. Life will never be good. Will this ever end? So my assurance to you is that it will. It will end. It will get better. These rough patches move on. My grandma, one of her favorite sayings was, this too shall pass. And it's true. But the other beautiful thing about life is often some of these things that at the time feel like just enormous challenges, in retrospect end up being beautiful in some way. They end up being meaningful. They end up being something that we care deeply about and that leads to good things. I could not have imagined when I was holding that little squalling son of mine, a little crying and screaming sometimes baby, what having him would do for my life, the joy it would bring me along the way as he grew up, and also now as I watch him with his own family and as he gives me grandchildren, which is the best thing ever. So hang in there. Things will pass. They will get better. But also, believe it or not, what you're going through might one day be something that gives you great meaning, or from which you draw strength or even happiness. So that's an encouraging thought, I hope, but that's been my experience in life. I'm sending you so much love. Be well, and I'll talk to you soon. Love, your internet grandpa.